Yes, I'm Jesse from the core team of the Brussels Artist Run Network. I'm here together with Elena Rabkina, who is from Belarus and has all over Europe organized artist hangouts, artist meetups.
Yeah, Artist Meetups.
And I'm super curious what you do and why and how this is working.
Well, I am from Belarus and I am like a double refugee. I fought my government, had to move to Ukraine, then there was a war. So I really was put in this like endless migration cycle. And at the same time, I'm an artist. And what I really realized that being both an artist and migrants can be really isolating. And then after the war in Ukraine started and I lost my second home, I was really disappointed into general idea of finding a home because it just was not working, and maybe I was taking wrong decisions. And I was doing a lot of art residencies, I was moving around, and I was meeting more and more artists. And then I realized that yes, I am experiencing some difficulties, but so is everyone else. So I wanted to just solve it in a way that is accessible to me. And I thought, well, the minimum thing I can do is to have like a space that once a month any artist can belong to. So at least once a month there is a space for you when you meet people like you who understand your struggles or understand your passion or understand your curiosity. And also what was interesting to me, it's almost you're like a mad scientist. So I'll just like spread the open call and say, hey, come and meet other creatives. And I was really excited to have a very like broad idea of artistic work or like creative work, because some people were saying, oh, but I'm just a student, can I come? Oh, I'm a tattoo artist, can I come? Or I'm even like a makeup artist. But for me, I think being an artist is how you identify, not how the world identifies you. And in order to become an artist, you just need to start doing art, really. And it was also interesting to me if I could bring together professional artists and non-professional artists, but also really young artists or like very seasoned one, people who are very local, like in the like born in this country, but also international ones, and just to see what's gonna happen. And then I think another thing that, you know, all of us have good ideas, but it is consistency that is essential for ideas to work, and especially if we want to build a community or just build like, you know, this monthly event. And I always liked having guests in my house. But I like to have like big gatherings. Like I like the gatherings when like there is no space and people like all they sit on the floor because I have so much furniture. So what I learned from like having lots of guests is that your job is to invite people, but it's not your job to control like if they come, you know, because if you try to control all of them, it's like too messy, you're focused on the wrong things and you forget to enjoy. So this is the approach I have. I just spread the call as much as I can. And then doing it consistently, it creates some kind of community. And in different countries, it has very different like specifics, right? For example, right now I'm doing them in Berlin. And in Berlin, I think it's just the flow of events is just so strong that people really struggle to build very like strong bonds, but very easy to build like short-term bonds. So I would see that I'm doing it consistently, and there is always like more than half people are new people. So they would show up not every time, but like once in maybe 4 times, every 4th time. But of course there is a core of people who like come every time, they're like looking forward to it and they communicate. And I think what is important, like doing it in like Netherlands, doing it in Berlin now, I was doing it in Finland and in Poland. I think you should just focus on like creating the space, but you should really allow the tendency of the group like work out themselves, not just really tell them what to do, but just I think it's also like a creative action, because nothing existed, and then like there is like I don't know 30 people socializing.
And what happens then?
So I tried different options and I really figure out my own way to approach it. So I like to have this event for around 3 hours. So we start at first like there is like this half an hour of people like coming up, being a bit late, and then have a round of introductions. And it really depends how many people we have, but we're thinking like 40 seconds to 1 minute introduction, when you tell what you do, maybe who you're looking for, what is exciting you, what are your needs, right? And then everyone says, And obligatory thing which I really learned is to have name tags, because it really helps people to address each other easy and just to remember. So they have name tags, they speak about themselves. I invite people to kind of take notes and notice who is like matching, because of course I would not expect that each of the 30 people matches equally with everyone else. And then there is like a free flow. So I say, yeah, now you should stand up and like move around and find 2-3 people to talk to and just meet each other. And then we do like 3 rounds like that. So in Netherlands, I would use like, I think, a rule of hand. So if I am raising a hand and you see I'm raised, you keep silent and also raise your hand. So it's like a wave. But right now in Berlin, it just doesn't work. So I went back to old school, like have like a bell. And I have for them to kind of to interrupt them every 20 minutes and say, okay, now you find someone else. Because in one way, given structure for socialization really helps people to overcome this, like, you know, many artists are introverted. And then social skills is something, you know, maybe you don't have such strong capacity to approach a stranger. But when you're told to do find a person and talk to them, you kind of, I help them to take off this responsibility. So they're like just easier to communicate with each other, and then at the same time to keep them mixing, you know, is important, because you know they're not stuck in some conversation they may shy to lose or something. But also again, artists, they're not really, you know, the most obedient crowd, so you also should allow them to like break the rules and like find their own way. You only like stimulate it, but that's how I see that, and that's how it works. And there is like a WhatsApp group, people chat.
Yeah. And so it's basically speed dating, and I'm trying to make a community out of that.
I don't like the format of speed dating, because I think it's non-productive. I work a lot with civil society, and there is this idea of speed dating when they like break a group into 50%, so there's people who are sitting and then people are switching all the time. But I think it's horrible. Like, I think it's horrible. First of all, you don't meet half of the group because you're sitting on one of the other side. Secondly, every new person, you're like a machine. You're telling the same story, and you're like very pressed for time. So you are rushed and tell about you to someone else. Someone else is also rushed to tell. Maybe you exchange business cards, and then you switch, and you're like a robot. There is no human connection. It's very rushed. It's very mechanical, and you're always like saying the same thing. And in the end, you don't remember anything. So what I wanted to switch, like in my way to approach it, is that do people actually have time to talk? So it's like 20 minutes gaps at least. That's why I use the bell. So like they know that they will switch, but while they're there, they can not think about, oh, I need to take all of my chances and like meet all of these people. And at the same time, because we have this massive round of introductions, which if you think, if it's like 30 people speak in 1 minute, it's half an hour, but honestly it takes around 45 minutes around it. You at least know something about each of them. And then what we used to do is we have this shower of contacts. So basically this WhatsApp group, and I say, is everyone in WhatsApp group? Now what you do, if you write one message about yourself, but only one message, and you put all your socials, like little introductions, what you did, so we can find you back later. So we're not too worried about like catching you up now. And then it happens like a flow. So everyone is, you know, taking time, but like doing it at the same time. And we also take like a group photo so people can maybe track each other back. But I like taking a group photo because I think for community building, it's a little silly thing, you know, to take a group photo. But it's like you put a group like almost like at school. But it's also like one collective action that we do. So it becomes not like a ritual, but something like we did together, and we were in the photo together, and it somehow like unites people. It's like I think a little trick with our brain, but I think it's also a cool thing. Maybe, you know, historically people will, oh, we met at this meetup, and then we can track back. Or maybe nothing will happen, but to be together in a photo and like to really like kind of by the end of the event to kind of track them to do that, it's a really nice thing.
Yeah, and what do people talk about typically?
I don't know, they just chat. They talk about their art, they talk about what they do. Sometimes people bring something with them, but it's quite rare. And then they discuss different things, like they can discuss how AI is affecting the future of cinematography. That's the conversation I had with someone else. Someone else is telling about what they do, or just discuss, or maybe people moved to Berlin, they just want to understand the scene. Then I know that they meet outside of the event, for example, oh, there is a dancer and there is a photographer, and photographer works with dancers, so they would meet. I would meet some people who would really match my vibe. And yeah, I think my job here is to do what I can, is just to create a spot of belonging, to be consistent with that. But also, I think it's a free form, you know?
Yeah, it's really important for people to be able to access a local scene if they're coming from abroad. We try to do that with Barn a lot as well. How do you keep that community going? Do the people talk on the WhatsApp group that you initiated after the meetups as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I have these basic rules for the WhatsApp group. So if you've been at least one artist meetup, feel free to share your events or ask questions or do what you want. But if you've never been to any events, like, what are you doing in this group in the first place? You know, like, for me, I love this idea of participation. So yes, we might not know like each 100, like there's 100 something people.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know each other, but at least we had at least one round of introduction where you showed up and you talked about yourself. So we're kind of familiar to each other because at least we went at least from one of these experiences. But people who talk the most, they actually show up the most. And yeah, I don't know, I think there is a lot of interest of people like, oh, there is community. And there is this idea of like, oh, we monetize this community, or like, we're gonna use it as promotion. But in the end, I think you're like losing the whole point of it, because yes, you can, of course you can promote your event, especially if you are part of like coming and you want to show your art. It's lovely, right? But I think, you know, being greedy about like numbers or like people or like how you can do that, you're a bit lacking the value that you can actually have a beautiful human connection. And for me, that's what I want. But also, I think I have some, I know each of us has some power, but I have some power to create an event like this. I have a power of have an idea and act on it. So for me, because I have this idea and skills to do that, it's not really so hard, but I have. So I think in a way, I hold a little bit of responsibility just in my personal vision of how I want to see the world.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not even, I mean, it's nice that people benefit from that, right? But I do it because I want to see the world like that, and then I can.
Great. And how do you relate with other initiatives in Berlin? Because there's so many artists. I'm sure that there's other platforms where people come together as well. Do you have relationship with those?
Yeah, definitely. So first of all, I built relationship with a gallery. It's called Pact Gallery. It's like a young gallery, artist-run gallery. And then I came to them and I say I want to host Artist Meetups, because before I was doing that in Netherlands and I was a fellow of NIAS, at like Netherlands Institute for Advanced Studies.
Mm-hmm.
And they were hosting me like in a very luxurious, like historical building with massive living room, which is like astonishing in the center of Netherlands, in center of Amsterdam. And then for Netherlands, it just was like insane real estate. And this living room was always empty. And I'm like, I'm just gonna host it there. So I had a space, but then when I moved to Berlin and it had the space, so I started looking around. And for the gallery, they're like, yes, we love that because we have a gallery, but we don't know how to build a community.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a win-win. And then I know like people build connection with the gallery. Maybe, you know, they exhibit or do something there. Like someone came and now they're doing stand-up nights in this gallery. But also gallery is just a space. What makes gallery a cool gallery is what is happening there. So I think here we have win-win situation. Another thing which happened, there is a guy, his name is Michal, and then he went to one of the artist meetups, and then he said, you know, I always wanted also to host artistic events for artists to get to know each other. I wanted it for 2 years, but somehow I never acted. But I came to this meetup and I really feel like I want. So he started his own project, but it has different format. So it has 4 speakers and they have like PowerPoint presentations and they speak for around 10-15 minutes and everyone is listening, and then there's like mingling around. So I'm happy, you know, that this happens. And you know, we could think, oh, there is like a competition or something. But I think, you know, I'm glad that there are more spaces for artists to belong and connect. And, you know, he has this vision. I like this different vision when like just people talk a little bit, but everyone talks and then everyone mixes. So in a way, we are working for the same purpose. Mm-hmm. So I don't really see, you know, other meetups as like, you know, competitive or like, I rather am happy because I want to see the world connected. I think if we give each other more time, despite that we're very different, we'll find much more similarities between us. And in the end, they're going to be more understanding. And of course, I cannot change the whole world. I cannot even change Berlin. It's too big. But I can definitely do something which speaks to me, you know? And it's something like nice and easy at this point when I know how to do it, how to do the registrations, how to spread the word, how to do the posting. Everything really works.
Mm-hmm. And now you're in Brussels. Would you be interested in organizing something like that in Brussels?
I mean, I'm passing by Brussels. I definitely am open to organize it and to bring it, or maybe like to teach it and to have like extension. I have my foundation of artistic research, and I see these meetups as a part of this activity. And in my dreams, you know, we have a whole network and like ambassadors, kind of. But I don't know if logistically I can be coming every month, because I want to stress out that consistency is really important. Because consistency allows predictability, and predictability allows feeling of safety and connection and belonging. And it's a slow process, and it depends on the vibe of the city. For example, when I was doing in Amsterdam, there was really huge demand. People were coming to me and say, we wish this ever existed. It never existed. I'm so happy it's there, right? And then I'm not there, but it's still alive, kind of. I would love to also like create ambassadorship, and someone is doing it. But I will be very happy if I can, I don't know, show how it's done and like teach someone to do it, because I think I figure out the formula which works, and there are like these little details, like give people a name tag, and I did it through practice and mistakes and seeing, okay, this is not working, or this is not working, okay, let's play around. And then again, I'm still like, this format is growing, and maybe, you know, we host it in Brussels and we learn something. Because I'm thinking now, maybe we have one night when people bring things with them, you know, like a little photo of their work. But I think, you know, it is important to me that like values are there and like collective vision is there. But for sure, I'll be happy to host, but also I think sustainability it is, and then coming once a month, when only once a month, one weekend I'm doing this in Berlin, then doing one weekend in Brussels. It just gives me 2 free weekends a month, but I would rather be like a partnership and not to be like the one that is like holding it, but rather like teaching. And we see it as a collaboration.
Yeah, in Brussels we always get the return of, yeah, this is great, this is such a network like Barn exists, it's super important. It's crazy that it didn't exist before, so
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of place for something like the network that can have all these kind of extensions, such as an artist meetup, which technically speaking, we don't really do, especially not in such a consistent format. So I certainly see possibilities for that.
And
So-
then can you imagine? And then we can also bridge like different countries. And then we can build collaborations. Because another thing I want to develop within Artistic Research Foundation I call it Collab Palette, because I think, you know, there are many people and many organizations, but not every person is a nice person to work with, and not every organization is a nice organization. Let's be fair. But I see it like, you know, there are friends and friends of the friends, and then we can create this bubble of people we trust and we can vouch for, and then we can make people meet. So, for example, I know some organizations which I like and I trust, and then I know some artists. They might not know each other, but I want to create this like bubble when people just build connections. So we can also do that. And if we're doing meetup, we just give people more space to connect. And isn't it what we want? Is it like what human existence is essentially about?
Yeah, the Brussels Artist Network has a Telegram group that is local, but we also have one extension that's an international Telegram group. I think it's not so active yet because there is a lack of an international community the way that we've been working on it now, because we had more local priorities. But contact with people like you who could bring this kind of bridges in communities
Oh, definitely.
could give a new dynamics to that Telegram group.
And
I'm
then
going to share the contact with you.
I want to join right now. But also, you know what happened? People from like Africa said to write me, and they were looking for like partners. And maybe I cannot help them because they do dance, and I'm visual artist. But again, I would just put it back into this meetup group, and maybe nothing will happen, but maybe something will happen. We don't really know.
It's about creating infrastructure.
Exactly. It's about just taking our chances, but also it's like just moving the world to the place you want it to be, you know? Many people move the world in different directions, so why we should stay aside?
Good. Perfect. Thank you.